Good morning, my little baby boomer hippies. How y'all this morning? I'm running a little late. Had a wardrobe problem. Don't ask. I didn't discover it till just a few minutes before I was going to go on air, and I see we still have a bit of an echo. Again, I wear all the hats here. You know, it's for entertainment only, but I'm the producer, the executive writer, makeup artist, run the cameras. That's because I don't trust nobody. So forgive me, I'm a little late this morning. Um, I didn't check into a lot of it as far as the news goes. Y'all know how my podcasts go. It crosses my mind. I'm going to talk about it unless one of y'all come into the live chat and tell me different. I'm sure that somebody at some time is going to say, hey, that broad is nuts. Let's see what she's got to say about this. In any event, I didn't care, of course, for what I saw again on the news. So I kind of switched that off. Every once in a while, I don't have something to throw at the TV. It's a bit of a problem. Yesterday, I gave everybody a lecture on how awful the world has become. And just this blink of an eyelid to me, I blinked and like 30 years were gone. So what do I know, right? Yeah. I'm like, okay, I can still do this. This is still doable. Um, but the world really is going to hell in a handbasket. What is this? My mic's giving me fits this morning. And again, it's only me. So when it messes up, it's my fault. So I kind of take it's okay. Now we're getting a little reverb back there. You would not believe what I am learning about this stuff. It's just amazing. You think you know it. You're like, oh, okay, I got the channel. I got me up. I'm on. I'm on. No, it's not as good as it gets. The other fallacy there is that a camera puts 10 pounds on you. No, it don't. That's 40, 50 pound on you. And then don't lie. I saw myself in a picture when I was doing the RV pictures that my husband bought. And yes, we own it. We do not have payments. He bought it so that I could go out like to the family reunion. It's just like a 4 hour drive and still be able to do it. I can't do that in a regular car. Um, I'd have to do it like in 2 days. My back is that bad. Not to complain, it just is what it is. I can't change that, so I have to work around it. And Robert is a great husband, and he made sure that I would do as best as I could. Now, I see my phone's ringing this morning. Okay. Well, I'm not sure why they're calling me, but I'll call them back. Sorry about that. Um, let's see. Where was I? God only knows. At this rate, your mind goes flips from thing to thing, and it never comes back around to what it was you were talking about. I did see where Trump was fined $350 million, yet they proved nothing bad about the guy. Still saying he undervalued Mar-a-Lago and Trump Towers and so forth. Apparently, like Al Capone, they went for him for taxes or something he might have been guilty of. Apparently, they also, in my mind, did not prove without a shadow of a doubt that he was guilty of anything. A businessman is a businessman. A businessman that deals in millions of dollars, I can't touch that with a 10-foot pole. I can't even, without a calculator, I cannot add up two and two. So there's no way that I am fit to judge how someone spends their money or how much of it and what they got on taxes and what they don't. I don't think that's up to, it's not our business. Would you want somebody to have your tax record for the year or past 10 years? Of course, yeah, we're not running for public office, but where's Biden's crap anyway? Huh? On Hunter's laptop, maybe? Because as far as I'm concerned, I know he sold out the presidency. And what would have stopped him from doing the same as vice president? Nobody saw that man, for lack of a better term, when he was vice president. Nobody's vice presidents just disappear. Just Kamala Harris, she had a couple of days out there giggling. Love that. I sure wish I could have seen Hillary's face. Don't you know she was so PO she probably couldn't even stand up. Don't run for president herself. How many times? Good grief. They call her Hillary. Get a grip. And they didn't elect her, Again, the whole electoral progress is not something I can work with. I can't work with a paradigm that tells you you do not vote in the president. That the electoral college votes in the president based on what their people vote for. And that's before their people vote for it. So I cannot put my head around the fact that everybody goes, "Oh, it's already decided. Well, let me come up there and yeah." And these people are standing in lines. They're 3 miles long. I'm like, God, read a book. And they have Google now. We have all this stuff. I can talk to you live right now, as I'm doing, and I will continue to do so until somebody says I can't. I think for a fact that the baby boomers were too busy, us hippies, were too busy working 2 jobs in college every other year because in my case, the office equipment changed every year. So it was a new computer and I ran my divisions. And so when it went from typewriter, and believe me, I was ecstatic when the electronic typewriter came out with a correctable. So you can see how it actually jumped to this for me while I was working. So I had 40 years, 40 plus years of going from a manual typewriter to I can talk to you live. We can say something, we can do something, we can get together. And we didn't have this. We hippies, we didn't have this. I think to this day, had we had this, this wouldn't be going on right now. You wouldn't have a geriatric person who's in there that has no way to even find the bathroom without an escort. The man can't read off the prompter. He can't read off his notes. He's clearly unable to perform the job that he is in. So who is taking care of the puppet? Anybody want to know that? I do. Yeah, I'd love to know that. I still would love to know why we have to pay taxes and we got a second death tax. And personally, I would love to deliver that one. I know everybody thinks that of me. I wanted my tombstone to read. Just hang on a second. I'll be right back. Believe me, if I get to be a ghost, I'm going to see Kensington Palace again, the Tower of London again, a couple of Scottish castles dotted around, go out and be fun. I'm not going to say, oh, I died here. I'm going to wear the same clothes. I'm going to hang out here. I don't know what that's about. But I've been studying since, good grief, I can't even tell you how many decades. And they have such good equipment now. I mean, good grief, I had 8 millimeter tape to use on a recorder. And I caught stuff. If it hadn't been for Ed and Lorraine Warren, nobody at this point would probably be able to understand what the world of the paranormal even meant in the sentence. And then we had, of course, sightings. We had X Files. We had all these programs that looked into the unknown and that other people didn't have, like me at 10 or 20. And suddenly you wake up, you've got grown grandkids, and the technology has not only caught up but surpassed you because you've retired, but you can still use it. You figure it out, which is awesome. I didn't think I would either. The first Nintendo that I bought my son was the first 2000 that came out, something like that. Had the robot with it, if anyone knows what that means. In any event, um, he had to hook all that up himself. Mother is electronic illiterate. I'm a user, not a program, is what I've always said. The software, I'll figure it out. The hardware, the motherboard, all that, that's your problem. That's why I pay so much for these things. And yes, I'm on my new one that Robert bought me a couple of weeks back. And I love Acer line. Since it started, it's been good. Its ID department is good. And its products are good. And Apple is overrated. And they got this other evil thing going on underneath it, from what I understand. So to run back where I was, in my case, walk slowly. I saw also where, again, they're attacking the senators and the governors. Senators are trying to back up the governors along the southern border. They could, I swear to God, they could take some hints from Egypt. They put that fence up overnight in Egypt. But again, I don't see why a corridor can't be open there. It's a big country. Egypt is at the top of Africa, just in case people missed that or didn't get that in history, because like Southern schools just suck. There's no other way to put that. Mm. And of course, I'm having malfunctions with one of my eyes this morning, if not both. I got to stop when I get off of here, and I'm going to go over into my favorite grocery store because my guys always make sure I don't have to lift things and that I shouldn't be lifting and so forth. And now that Robert is home, I won't be having to take it out of the car and try to drag it to the front door and inside as far as I can. Pardon me, I meant this. And yes, vanity, ladies, I am one of the meanest persons that I have ever met. I had been sick for like 2 weeks, couldn't get out of bed hardly, but you still would have caught me outside checking the mail unless I was well dressed and had makeup on it and had showered and so forth. I just, I see these people go to Walmart in their pajamas, and I'm like, really? That's how you want people to see you? Don't they look in the mirror and go, oh, this isn't going to work well at 60? Yeah, I did. I never had an idea, though, that I would be gaining weight and that I had no idea what to do to combat it. And as a direct result of medications that I take. Another reason my eyes tear up sometimes irregularly is because I have 3 prescriptions, 3 different drops that I have to do twice daily because of the artificial lenses. No, they did not tell me that before the surgery, and I don't know who of you might have missed it, but I woke up when they were doing the second eye, and these were on different days. And this was the second surgery. And I woke up while the scalpel was cutting on this side of the eye, and while the other physician was stitching the other side of the new lens. And they strap you down, and they have something in your mouth, something in your hands. I mean, you're strapped down. I've seen people less strapped down in a psychiatric hospital that were murderers. Because I make a lot of jokes about it. I was like, we're not doing Frankenstein's Bride 2, are we? Because this isn't looking good. Meanwhile, I've already been strapped down. Plus, there is the story that runs around the VA that I kicked a 5-team surgical procedures, but because I didn't like what they were doing, and I was supposed to be completely under, but that didn't work well for them. They like that story. Um, yeah, I have no recollection of that. I had to take the darn test again, and it was a horrific test. I hate that thing. I got the mammography department calling me from the VA, sending letters. Well, you didn't have this done this year. Yeah, because I didn't want to. It's just, all this wellness crap. What is that about? Can you pay your hospital bill? No, well, you should come in while you're well. I might get something later. I understand there's another new virus. God knows it wouldn't be hard to do that. A biohazard, throw it some of them guys that are coming across the Rio, and you've just affected the entire country of America and most of South America. So I don't think a bioweapon would be hard to use, and that's exactly what I think the China virus was. But oh yeah, they call it COVID-19. It's the China virus, just like the Spanish flu. Okay, you can just say it's the China flu because it was an abbreviated higher version of influenza, which is what flu means. They don't use the term influenza because apparently they figure we're all too stupid to figure out that's what killed millions of people and stopped World War One because they really didn't teach you anything in school. And I had an excellent education as far as school and public school goes. If you want to learn from anything, if you have a question about things, you are going to have to go to a library, or nowadays you can do it electronically. Again, I advise against Kindle because, again, they do not pay the authors. However, Amazon does have kindly used books, and those are much better, in my idea, anyway, than getting it, reading it, and knowing the author with other work is not being paid. Besides being a published author myself, I can advocate the fact that this is not an easy thing to do. Like Agatha Christie couldn't have touched her with a 10-foot pole. My book was a prelude to a trilogy like Lord of the Rings. And after mine had come out and had been out, and my husband was very supportive about this, but you have to pay for costs to the publisher before your book is even in print, literally. Then you have to do the artwork. You have to pick what artist, so forth, your cover art. And I was a graphic designer myself. This does not harm the computer, does it for you? Just saying. So I'm like, okay, this is not an easy thing, is my point. So I believe that any author worth their salt should be paid. If you wish to read their book, don't you think they should be paid? Of course you do. Of course you do. Like I said, I had a bit of a malfunction on my wardrobe this morning, and I think everybody knows I'm kind of picky and vain about those things. Again, they're going to end up saying, I still haven't seen you wear the same thing. So I'm going to the store. My guys will be out there. It's like Cheers. Hey, Wanda. I love the rating at the end because you're an unpaid, untrained cashier and you get to these 5 stars. Rate your visit here. Well, we have a 5 star. I did all the work. I was great. I have been a grocery store clerk as a second job. Before bar cards showed up, and you did have to count change. You had to manually punch in keys. You had to tell them what it was, and you had to count back the correct change. And that change was not put up on a display so you know exactly what it was. You had to use that little brain of ours, you know? Everything's on a barcode, and they want to stick that puppy in your arm, in your wrist, right where it says in Revelation that they want to put it, which is also freakable to me. And they're lining up to do it. No, no. And China's been doing it. Facial recognition constantly. If you jaywalk, they close your account, take out whatever you got to pay for. If they let you ever come back from that, I don't know. It's China. They don't tell nobody nothing. So, what do you think the United States is going to do with that? Anybody out there seen an honest politician in the past, say, 50 years that we've been around? Hands. Show hands. Anybody? Yeah, I'm going to take that as nope. They just kept making it higher and higher and higher, so they had to work 2 jobs. And the equipment kept changing, like I said. So you had to go to court. I mean, court. Actually, I've done that, but you had to go to college to find out what was going on and keep up. And in particular, the females or males or anybody, whatever, that was the head of departments or ran hotels or whatever. You were not the lower one on the rank, so you had to stay abreast of each thing that came out because even in the hospitality arena, they were changing us every 6 months. I wanted to beat my general manager to death with the keyboard one day. I came in and was like, "What the? When did you put this?" And why? We just figured out the other one. I remember when credit cards were on the slide thing. You didn't have something you could just go beep. You find that carbon paper and give them the receipt. Count the change. You actually had to work a little. I would be bored stiff right now if I were actually still in hospitality, any of those things. Even though I'd be running it, I'd still be bored stiff. My husband thinks it's wild because, like, when I worked at UTHSC at Centone, it was 3 hospitals, and uh, what my department was created for, and they hired me to create it, was to gather all the information on gestational diabetes, which is women who are pregnant. And gestational diabetes was very prevalent in the Hispanic women. But you got all these stats, and unfortunately, babies were lost. And it's very terrible because I was always in neonatal as well to get these records. And sometimes I would have to go to the morgue to get those records because also we used dictaphone back them days, and so you would have your headset on and you'd be typing doctor's notes and stuff like this, and you had to know medical terminology and all that. So it's not that easy. Like being a court recorder, it's a little different for them. They don't have the same keyboard; they have like words. So all of that had to be taken in and done within a certain amount of time. And I picked the equipment that would be used. I hired the people to do the work. And my husband used to, every once in a while, I could go to lunch with him. And sometimes he would pop through to pick me up, to take me home from work because he knew I always took the bus because I got home several hours before he got home. And so he would be standing in the door with roses, bless him. He always brings roses. He's a very good husband. Unfortunately, all the other wives were jealous. I didn't pick up on it. In any event, he would bring those, and then he would kind of lean against a wall or a chair or whatever and watch. And I couldn't go just yet. I had like 20 minutes or whatever, and then I maybe even would be off, and then we could have a late lunch. And he would watch as the computer had to catch up to me. I would actually have to stop and talk to somebody, answer a phone, to let this catch up so that I could add whatever else I'm doing. And sometimes I'd be on the phone and I'm still typing and waiting for the computer to catch up. And again, I say, you cannot type faster than you can read, and I read voraciously and I read quickly. And so that was a very good aid. But I ran those things since I had to know what the current technology was, which cost more than I actually made by going back to college to figure it. So, yeah. So we hippies have been through all of this from the moon walk to social media where we're live and we can say, what the heck is going on in this world? Why is Hunter Biden still walking around? Do you really believe we'd be walking around? Why are they being held to different standards than the people who put them there? Why? Well, it's because again we don't really vote them in, but it's something to sit and talk about. I think. I think it is almost one of the best topics on the planet right now is to figure out one who's pulling Biden's strings because he can't find a bathroom. No, I'm not kidding. He's gotten a lot worse. He get worse every year, and they were saying they were going to have him run again. Run what? Run what? The guy cannot spell cat. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You got the giggler, which actually is funny as hell to me, because don't you know Hillary Clinton? I swear to God, she's probably had a stroke. They had a woman vice president, and she'd been running all that time. Just saying, I would have liked to have been a fly on that wall. So we have all this going on. Trump being told, he can't run in some states, and uh, outrageously fining the man $350 million because supposedly he undervalued his properties. I haven't kept up with that, and I don't do the politician thing. I don't stay completely conversant. I will each day check the news a little bit because again, there are political news channels. That's all they do is politics, and that's their news. So you have to go to others to get the news, like the IDF and German networks, and um, you know, I like those because they're actually doing news. They're actually going. We had a 6.9 chili. We had a volcano go off at Iceland, which lately I haven't heard anything about because it was eating up Iceland, and so I've kind of been trying to figure out what's going on there. You had California flooding and on fire at the same time. You can't make this stuff up. Again, when Christ was asked what would be the signs, and he said that there would be father would hate son would hate father, the children would hate the parents, yada yada, would not have respect for anybody. You will see wars, rumors of wars. There will be catastrophic damage from volcanoes, earthquakes, floods. All of that would increase, yada yada. I mean, look it up. You can tick the boxes yourself. And I'm not a Bible pusher, but I am a Bible studier, and there are many. Just so there are quite a few. Billy Carson's got a good handle on that. You should pop over to his YouTube because he's got great information for everybody. When you find a 200, when you find a hammer, you're coal mining, and you find you know, and we burned coal a lot in the late 1800s or 1900s. And inside of that, where you just broke that coal, is a hammer. So you take it to your supervisor, they take it to somebody else, and so forth. To make a long story longer, they looked at this thing and they said, "Oh my God!" So they did the test, and then, yes, it was a 200 million-year-old coal deposit, and this hammer was stuck in it, and it was already forming itself into some kind of a mineral or whatever. I don't know about y'all, but a 200 million-year-old hammer was freaking interesting to me. I was like, what? And this would be called out of place objects. So again, Google it. I never have enough time to go into those things completely unless one of you guys in chat or later on drop a comment, and I will get further in detail. There are many podcasters and there are many people out there that can answer these questions probably better than I ever could. I've studied the paranormal for my entire life. And now they have the SLS camera, the Kinect camera, and it will map out it as a stick figure. It's on the wall beside you, it's standing on your shoulders. You can't see it. The people in the room can't see it, can't feel it. This thing's standing on you. I mean, awesome, awesome, awesome stuff that we have now to get into all of these things. I would have went nuts at 30 running around Europe with a Connect camera. God, don't you know everything out there is haunted? Why, I don't know. And they never ask that. My first question would be, what the heck are you doing here still? Who thought there's more than this? And there literally is. I've crossed that line. I have died and gone over. Had my own mother throw me back. Can't stay here. What? Bam. Ow. One of the worst things I had, I think, I thought would have been the birth of my son. I didn't believe in letting him have any drugs. I didn't do any, so it was a natural birth. Hurt like the blazes. Didn't think anybody or anything else could inflict that kind of pain again. Was so wrong. Terribly wrong. Um, uh, Pneumococcal pneumonia is what they diagnosed me with, and at the time they asked me had I been out of the country, so forth and so on. Zithromax was an experimental drug at the time, and I was going to be put on a respirator probably by the next morning because nothing they were using was working, and they would have put me in the coma and put this in. And I agreed to try the Zithromax. And the next morning, I wanted to know why the heck I was still on the same bedclothes for a couple of weeks. What is wrong with you people? How am I supposed to get better when you keep germs wrapped around me? I was so mad. And, walking off because they would take the thing out of my house. I got out of bed, took off the thing, got a shower. I didn't care who's standing in there. You want to stand in there? Go ahead. I'm tired. This is nuts. This is not how you take care of a patient. No wonder I nearly died. Then I find out, from the EKG, I did die. But the Synthemax must have rallied well enough because they shocked me and I'm back. At the time, my husband was on the road because the home we were buying at a rent to buy area because it was close to the schools for the kids' high school. Decided they didn't want us to buy it and went to court. And the court held up that the money we had paid extra to go down on it was just part of the rent. So the people that live there have to move, even though they've been there 8 years, 9 years, whatever it was. And the wife's in the hospital dying. But they do give my husband 5 more days. Bless his heart. And he's working, trying to get things right. He's trying to earn in the hospital, he's trying to work, and he was a truck driver at the time. And now he finds out after going to court that we don't have the house. We have been just paying out the nose for nothing. They just made a lot of money off of it. I believe actually that we had paid off the note and they were giving it to the son. So he had the 5 days to get the house ready and move with the wife in ICU. But we managed. We managed to actually do that in 5 days. When he told me what was going on, they had already used Zithromax. I was coming around. The doctor came in to see me. I was up, dressed, hair, makeup. I was like, I'm out. I gotta go. There's stuff happening. I'm like, get back. My house is gone. I've got to get out and help. And when he understood what was going on, he gave some warnings, about, due to the fact that my life was falling apart without being able to do anything. And yet I was healed, or at least I was healing. And so he let me go home that afternoon. And it was packed my entire house in 3 or 4 days while looking for a place to stay. And Robert doing the same thing, make a run, come back, and look. I mean, it was really rough 5 days. And unfortunately, the kids, of course, had their own lives and they couldn't help much. They did pick up their stuff. It's kids, they were teenagers. But it could be done. We made it. These little things shouldn't be happening. Again, that we have veterans on the street, but they take $1 billion over here and another billion over there, and they tell us that, oh, we're not going to pass the budget because, well, we got $1 trillion debt. Well, you put that sucker there. But they scare everybody every year that they're not going to get paid. This is, of course, the government workers who are already locked into the positions. And I hope they don't get really too settled into that and think like me that they couldn't get rid of you because you were civil service or prior military, because they can and will and have and probably will again. Just saying, you never know when that shoe is going to drop. I don't care who you work for, how high your clearance is, or how high in civil service you are. I've been to the top and I've been to the bottom. This country isn't us. This country is theirs, and we're paying them to take our country, apart from the inside out. What country can have 11 million people in 3 years come through and that's it? What kind of nation has sanctuary cities because the murderers have a place to stay now? What kind of a sorry ass country tosses kids out of school so they can put the illegal aliens in there because they're getting full? That kind of country is not going to be a country much longer. If there's nobody there to say, excuse me, we got rights, you can't do that, then they can, and they have, and they will continue to do so. At least one thing may be obvious to everyone by now. Maybe Biden won't run it another time. I don't know how he got there this time. He came out of the basement 3 months after. I don't know how long he was in there, but 3 months before the people supposedly boarded. You could see him waiting there in the wings with his little aviator glasses in his hand, waiting for a camera. They said, "Okay, come out." He might have had a debate or something. I don't know because I don't watch that crap. Just like I'm not going to be voting anybody in. Nobody I know is. It's not a secret ballot either. Everybody's got the signs out, t-shirts on, hats on. Everybody knows which way to go. Kind of easy to pick you out and pick on you and threaten you because you're just it's your whole theme. I mean, you can look at you and see who you're going to vote for in any event if you vote. I do not. I don't vote on local things because they don't care. They're going to get it one way or the other, and when they do, they're going to steal. Like this little DA for Fulton County, which, by the way, is in Atlanta, in case anybody wanted to. Yeah, that 690,000 she paid her boyfriend because she's supposed to be, was supposed to be prosecuting former President Trump, and yet they found out. Oh, she's been spending tons of tax money to go to Bahamas, to Bermuda. They actually asked her. They actually asked her. And she's got this attitude like she could do what she wanted. And that, the money she had given this man, she had sitting around the house because I don't believe in banks. I mean, I've got a bridge out back. I don't like it anymore. Come on over. I see. So Ukraine's getting more help. I saw a little bit of a tiny snippet, anyway, of an interview he had done, and they asked him such softball questions. I mean, it's just sad that they actually call themselves reporters. I have been, and well, I carry a card for reporter for life, basically. That's not the blooming questions I would have asked him, but let's do this by they got that all worked out. You got your top 10% that are running the rest of 90% who are actually paying you for the privilege of knocking their lives down. It's poor Ashton Kutcher is up next, and Mia or Mila. Her name's always been difficult for me because they are members of that crazy rant Scientology. You ever read an L. Ron Hubbard book? They're terrible. And this was supposedly a religion based on L. Ron Hubbard. It's an author, and he was a bad one. So I don't know how this could be religion. But somehow they would declare it a legal religion, meaning they don't have to pay taxes. And they've got most of Hollywood roped in there. Most of us have heard Lay Remini speak about this, and it's literally, if they can get out, then their friends, their families, their kids, all that is no longer open to them. They can't see them, talk to them, anything, and they're told whatever. I don't know. It's not a religion. I would hesitate to call it a cult, but I can't see any other better word to describe it. And Danny Masterson and Ashton Kutcher, of course, are Scientologists. The first time Danny Masterson was tried, they found him innocent. The second time was against three women, somewhere 20 years back, had been sexually abused by Danny Masterson. Well, that's not beyond a shadow of a doubt to me. That's called hearsay. It was when I read a book. Okay, she said, he said, she said, he said. Is there any evidence? I never saw any evidence from these women. It came out after the trial. If only one of the women would have been found uh, to have won her case, however you want to put that, but not the other two, he wouldn't have been sentenced. But two of the three were found to have been correct, and they, I don't even know how to phrase that. They used what they said, and they convicted the man on what these two girls said, but not the third. I don't know why. But the two girls, or two ladies now, uh, it was found that he was guilty of sexual abuse of some type. Again, this is 20 years ago. Something with Bill Cosby, too. Uh, uh, he was supposed to be guilty without a shadow of doubt. Now, I know I might have missed a lot. I know I did not watch the trial. But I don't see that these women, even if they had kept DNA, and 20 years ago, most people weren't that familiar with DNA, that wouldn't have proved rape. It would have maybe approved it. It would have said, okay, there was a sexual encounter, but it wouldn't have proved rape. So I don't know how these two girls out of the three, how the judge came to the decision without any evidence that this man was guilty. I'm not saying he was. I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm just saying, as far as the legal system, it's wrong. It was based on hearsay testimony from a couple of decades ago. And apparently, these two women were also Scientologists. And they thought that being a Scientologist, they would be helped, they would be taken care of within the organization. But they were surprised and hurt or something along those lines because they weren't the ones protected. Danny Masterson was protected. It's because he was giving them a lot of money, probably. I said the first trial they found him innocent, but I still can't. I can't wrap my head around how you can convict somebody 20 years later. I don't even know what the statute of limitations are on rape. Are they open like murder forever? Or, I really don't know what the timeline is. I would have thought there was a timeline on rape. And then again, I did not see and still have not heard, and I did do some digging of proof of rape. No doubt DNA, no, know that this happened, 20 years ago, and I told so and so, and that person is hearsay. It's called hearsay. He said, she said. And again, I have no idea if this boy is guilty or not, but I can't see how anyone could have decided that he was without a shadow of a doubt. That's all I'm saying. And now Ashton Kutcher and his new wife, Mila, that were in the 70s show together, the dark haired girl. And they have at least one baby, maybe two. Um, but they were asked to write a character letter for Danny Masterson. Now I understand what that's about because I've done something similar myself, and so they did. Now this is based on the person they knew, and it was a character. This man was their friend. They did not believe what was going on. That this boy was being set up, or was a young man. I mean, but I can understand either way. I mean, again, hearsay. He said, she said. How do you know? So, in any event, they wrote these character letters and said the person that they knew, of course, could not have done such a thing. And they sit on the board of at least one company until today that helped, like with children and so forth and so on, in that particular section of sexual abuse. He resigned from that today or yesterday. He sent a letter that was well worded, although the reporter was saying it was misspelled and the sentences weren't right. Who cares? This is getting stupid. Now, I don't know how you can go after somebody. I don't know who leaked it because it should have been in a trial and it should have been closed testimony. And yet they've got these guys, the letter that they sent. And again, I would have lawyered up and I would have wanted to know where you leaked that from because also that should be throwing Danny Masterson's case out because you're handing out information that was in the trial. But yes, I'm not a lawyer. But I do advise ask a Christian lawyer and shut up. He and his wife need to shut up and get a very good lawyer. Shut up and get a good lawyer. Because apparently, if something was to happen 20 years ago and all you've got is hearsay, you can still release information that the friends wrote a letter saying it's not the guy they knew and that they didn't believe that it could be true and how his character was to them. And yet, when they've done this, they've made this public, and this couple now is being hammered as if they were guilty of trying to cover up something or anything like this. And again, where was there was no privacy here. This was not who released this. Why? How come? Why aren't they being investigated? Because this is not supposed to be happening. You don't go to court, if innocent or guilty, and have the documents released to the public. I don't get that because I would sue. Again, it's a breach of so many of your rights that it's just screaming. You can't do this. They did. And, excuse me. And again, I saw them this morning, so I feel for them right now because I don't see the fairness of it. I really don't. Again, we touched on Ukraine, southern border. It's crazy what's going on with the federals running down there and trying to take it down and sue them because they put it up. And at what point do people stand up and say, well, the president won't defend his own country, but the governor has to? And that's his job. I mean, these people have one job, and that's to protect their citizens. Be they mayor, be they governor, a lieutenant governor, a cop, their job is to protect the citizens. And they do. And then people go and lose it. They flip out and they do this and that and the other. Well, I was very gratified to see that a lot of the Senate was there to support him. There were at least 12 or 14 other governors who support him. Again, this isn't just people coming by, leaving a little trash or something. These are, look at the news, and I hate to, the real news. And you'll find that pretty much here on YouTube, as a matter of fact. Four people that I don't know what nationality, but I'll say Hispanic nationality, jumped on a cop and kicked him and beat him and nearly killed him. And it was caught on camera. These guys were arrested. They went in the front door and they went out the back door because they had no bail for him and they didn't charge him with nothing. And this was an officer that they beat. So what chance does your regular civilian have? If it was a mom and a daughter, 8-year-old girl walking along, what do you think could have happened to them if they could do this to a police officer? I'm like, the easiest way to tear a country apart is from within. And it's not the country I grew up in. Of course, I still remember Mayberry RFD. I still remember when women wore skirts, hats, gloves, dressed very well, and men had nice suits and hats, and they looked awesome. Now they are cinched their pants around their thighs, they're holding their crotch constantly, and they're saying kill Whitey, but they're supposedly making millions from this. Shoot me. I don't call that music. And I don't call that dancing. I call that you need a Thorazine and one of those jackets where you hug yourself because you're nuts. Just nuts. I don't know if there's anything else I wanted to touch on this morning. Again, it's entertainment purposes only. I'm going to be here all week. I had decided not to do a broadcast on Sundays. And I've changed my mind on that because I think there are, of course, a lot more people home on Sundays. I'm still trying to get to that 1,000 mark. Every little bit helps. Hit the like, subscribe is free. Put something in the comments, even. Come to the bar, talk to me. I know y'all out there. I don't know. I know baby boomers are not afraid to say when we're right and they are wrong. I've seen it. So I want to see it here. I want to ask those questions. I want somebody to ask me those questions. Maybe we could make a difference. Maybe before we leave this arena, we could make a difference. I'd like to think so. I'd like to think that even though we're retired, we now have time enough to absolutely try, at least to talk about the narrative behind the scenes, about what's going on here. Again, you've got three, four people who are not here legally. I don't even know they could just tell them a name, and they don't even charge them. They don't even give them. They don't. And instantly, it red flagged to me that what if that was my daughter-in-law and my granddaughter walk into the store, and they decided they wanted her purse and my granddaughter's shoes? Would they have killed them, kicked them to death like they were trying to do that officer? Probably. This is probably why Gary, Indiana is just nothing. There's nobody there. Nobody. Seattle almost doesn't exist anymore as a city. It's back gone. So I'm wondering, how that defund the police worked out for everybody, because in those cities, people's gone. They ain't doing no more. They tore it apart and nobody was around to, I guess, pick up the pieces. I've never been to Seattle. San Francisco, the same thing. I'm going by what people have gone in, and these are independent um, reporters and filmed and showed in the tent cities. And in a lot of cases in these tent cities, I don't think they're in there because they can't get a house. I think they're in there because it's where they want to be. They don't want to be responsible to buy a house, buy a car, live that way anymore. Maybe they snapped. You know, I know I would like to. You're at 65 years old and you're going, this is what? A second what? A second death tax. So who pays that? Do I get to come back and hand that shit to you? I don't think so. I don't think we'd have been politicians if we could do that. I do believe Jefferson, Washington, and a few of the others would have jumped on in there and said, hey, can I talk to you? We better laugh while we can. I'll put it that way. And I'm not going away. I'm going to be here the rest of the week. And I know for a fact, as I have already stated, baby boomers they're not afraid to say what the truth is. They're not afraid to stand up. Let's do a social Woodstock. Let's put it all together, guys. I need the baby boomer hippies. Come see me, come talk to me, give me advice. Tell me you don't like what I'm talking about. I don't care. Hit the like button. Want to subscribe? Tickle the other bell. Come on. Somebody else. The numbers are going up. I'm so grateful to all of you. And I enjoy this so much. I really do. And not only that, I do believe it's one way I can talk to somebody in Germany about the same exact thing that's going on here. Why are our taxes 50% of our stuff? And then we get taxed again on everything we buy. I know I'm not the only one that talks about this stuff. Come see me. I see I'm getting further in, and I try not to take a whole hour of your time. And of course, they tell you how many views you've got, how many likes you've got, what your algorithm is. So, of course, then I get depressed because I was the only one listening. I didn't think I would actually be able to just to sit and talk to you all an hour a day. I thought I would do it as a podcast and interview people. Well, for one, it's hard to interview people. You're not going to get any stars because they don't know you, and you're not even set up to take care of something like that. You'd have to have like Joe Rogan, Shay Shay, and them, a couple $1 million to start to have that kind of a thing, because that to make money takes money. I do want to let everybody know that once we get to 1,000, then we could start our own Patreon list. So it's important. Get in here, talk to us, tell us what you think. If you don't want your name in there, don't put it in there. I can relate that but the government got my name all over the place. I haven't worked for the government. I'm an Army veteran. It's not like I'm going to get out of that. So there's no point in me hiding my name. There's really no point in anybody hiding their name because government knows what we do. If your phone is turned off, government's still watching you. You turn your TV off, they still listening to you. You put your Chromebook down, you put your tablet down, you turn it off, but they're still filming you. They're still listening to what you have to say. That is the big brother in Orwell's book. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. Unless we all stand up and say, no, we're good. We'll just use our money. Because I don't know if I'll call it the other part of that, by the way, the electronic money, that people wouldn't be able to use money. And they're already supposedly putting that kind of a central bank together and all that. I mean, how much more? It's like somebody is standing in full red in front of a bull going, come get me, or pirate. As far as I'm concerned, if you're talking about politicians, just say the word pirate. I will go straight there. I know exactly what that means. Pirate. I mean, it's like I said, my father said when the mob got tired and they were coming after him and taking their cars and putting him in jail for Texas, Al Capone comes to mind. His car went to President Roosevelt because it was bulletproof and the president didn't have one. And the only thing that got Capone on at that time was, of course, taxes. And he said the mob hung out their Tommy guns, put on a tie, and went to D.C., and that man was right as rain. He said, I understand that when I grew up. Yeah, I figured that out somewhere in the middle of boot camp. It's like, wow, this is not the women's army. It's still good, though. That door went down. We have fighter pilots who are women. We have firefighters who are women. I mean, women are now included in every walk of life. That was not so when I was 17, 18 years old. Women were secretaries, they were nurses, they were housewives. That was it. And I wanted to escape it. But I didn't know I was going to escape it in that direction. I doubt I would have tried that. I would have probably gone a different direction, finishing college and all, rather than jump in there and say, give me your grenade. Get out of there because you'll probably die. When you're picked last for softball, you really don't want a live grenade. It's just not on your list. Never seen a weapon before. And I'm out here with a weapon. I'm I'm 5 foot 1.5, and I'm 88 pounds. The radio weighed more than me. I mean, they have these cute little things now as a radio. They're running around in gym shoes. I'm like, what? And we're in sand, which is even harder to walk through. And we had the old fashioned army boots. I had jump boots, my husband too. It was just a better boot than the army boot. And you could buy jump boots, which is also an army boot. But it'd be full of sand. You could not just say, oh, I got, Charlie horse. You didn't stop because they would march everybody back to pick you up. And you don't want to piss that many people off at the same time. Just say. So, you grow up real quick when you find out you're in the real army. and they're not cutting you any slack. Nobody is. They're actually making it harder for you, but we still kick their butts. So never ever underestimate yourself, ladies. There's a lot more we can do than people think. So come see me. At least hit that like bell. Throw a blooming comment in there. Tell me what you want to talk about. I would love to talk about whatever anybody wants to talk about. And I can't wait to see you come up. And I know I'm about to go, so I won't be on live chat, but I do check them and I will answer. And I am very grateful and I admire everybody. I send lots of love, lots of hugs. Come see me. I hope I'm not echoing as badly as I am this morning. Toodles, guys.